If you've been following the podcast for a while, you'll know that a little while back, I announced I was talking to investors about my startup AI Box. We ended up getting such a huge influx of people talking to us that we kind of changed our strategy regarding fundraising, and we have a really exciting announcement coming soon. But if you were an investor that had previously reached out to me and jumped on a call, make sure to reach out again. I have some really exciting news to give to you, or if you're an investor today looking to invest in an absolutely groundbreaking AI startup, I'm going to leave my email, jaden@aibox.ai, in the description, and I'll give you the inside scoop. Today on the podcast, we're breaking into a massive AI announcement, and this time it comes out of Visa, who has just announced, of course, this is Visa Ventures, so more of their investing arm. They've just announced that they have earmarked $100 million that they plan on using towards investments in generative AI technologies. This is really interesting because, we saw $10 billion deployed into OpenAI thanks to ChatGPT at the beginning of the year from Microsoft. And with that, a lot of people were saying, hey, look, Microsoft just bought into a big, huge hype bubble. They paid peak dollar pretty much for this company. There's no way that AI is going to keep living up. We saw a lot of implications and shifts, but a lot of people were saying like the AI hype cycle or bubble or whatever they wanted to call it was gonna essentially come crashing down by the end of the year, and this thing wasn't going to last. I think what's really interesting now more than ever is what we're seeing is, a lot of venture capital funds, a lot of investment funds have essentially run out of money due to the downturn. They're not able to raise more rounds and they're struggling with that. But where we're seeing a lot of capital deployed is from these corporate funds. So Microsoft, Salesforce, Visa, these big companies that have really strong revenue and are really healthy companies, they seem to be the ones that are deploying a lot of this capital into the markets and pretty much taking the space of, what was traditionally venture funds that were doing a lot of these moves. And it would appear that we are not indeed seeing an end of, this whole investment into AI. It seems that people see this as really something a lot more prolific, perhaps, and impactful than previous cycles like crypto, Web3, and other areas. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out, what the differences are. But today on the podcast, we're really diving into everything that is going on with Visa Ventures, what they're planning on doing, and what they're saying about this $100 million they're going to be investing into artificial intelligence. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Welcome to the world's #1 AI podcast, AI Chat. I'm your host, Jaden Schaefer. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? I record and publish podcasts on a platform called Spotify for Podcasters, and I absolutely love it. Essentially, you can upload from your phone or computer, and it distributes to every platform that plays podcasts. They support video podcasts, and you can make money on the platform with ads or even podcast subscriptions, something that has made my life so much easier as a podcaster. So if you're interested, I highly recommend you give it a try. You can download the Spotify for Podcast app, or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started on your podcast today. The big news here is that Visa, which is of course a household name in the payments industry, it's one of the biggest credit card processors in the world, maybe the biggest between them and MasterCard. A lot of competition, especially in America. I know in other countries it can be slightly different, but in any case, definitely one of the biggest in kind of the West, in America, Europe, and those kind of areas. It is now laying down some major capital to shape the future of commerce. Today, the company, essentially disclosed plans to funnel $100 million into generative AI technology. This is, of course, a growing field that is kind of poised to transform the business landscape, especially in payments and commerce. If you'll notice, recently on the podcast, we had someone from Square talking about how they're using it to help with online payments and other areas. So definitely this is an area that's very interesting to people like Visa. I think this investment is going to be orchestrated through Visa Ventures. This is I think it's around 16 years old, and it's a global corporate investing wing of course, Visa, the credit card company. So this move really, I think, underscores Visa's continued push to lead AI-based solutions for the payment ecosystem, a role that the company claims to have pioneered since as far back as 1993. This is really interesting. I feel like there is a lot of different corporations that are, with AI being so popular right now, they're like, no, we're not getting sucked into a hype cycle. We've been invested in AI for a long time. Facebook was like really big on this, talking about all of the different ways that AI was integrated into their like algorithms on their newsfeed and whatnot. And I mean, to some degree, I think it's actually quite true. But the field has definitely evolved a lot from, machine learning and what used to probably be just considered like statistics to more of what we're seeing in AI today and the ways it's evolved. In any case, Generative AI is obviously evolving super rapidly. It's evolving from, of course, a content creation tool to it's a game changer in a lot of different sectors, including payments. And I think that's why Visa is getting into this right now. So Jack Forstell, who's Visa's chief product and strategy officer, provided some context to the company's really lofty ambitions, saying, quote, "While much of generative AI so far has been focused on tasks and content creation, this technology will soon not only reshape how we live and work, but it will also meaningfully change commerce in ways we need to understand." And he said this recently in a statement, but David Rolfe, who is the head of Visa Ventures, echoed pretty much the same sentiment. He labeled generative AI as having the, quote, "potential to be one of the most transformative technologies of our time." This is something very interesting. I've seen this all over the place. It's not, it's beyond people saying this is just like a cool new technology. They're saying this is a complete transformation, a complete platform shift in the same way we saw with the .com era, in the same way we saw with, the mobile area after the iPhone was launched. Like, AI is a pivotal and massive new technology that really impacts every single industry in really interesting ways. So last August, I believe there was an interview between Mary Ellis Droga, who was appointed as Visa's new head of fintech in, I think, the previous year. But Droga revealed that her team, quote, often collaborates with the Visa Ventures arm and acting in a capacity that could best be described as kind of a scouting engine for the investment division. So while she didn't drop any hints about today's announcement, I think it's clear that Visa's investment into generative AI did not come out of, left field or something, but rather this is a really concentrated strategy. This is a concerted strategy, and it involves, multiple arms of the company. This is something that they're focused on in a very broad range of areas. I think really with this new investment, Visa is kind of cementing its commitment to remain at the forefront of disruptive technologies as, generative AI pilots from novelty to necessity in almost every industry. Companies like Visa are taking, I think, really strategic positions to shape and benefit from the next wave of innovation in commerce and beyond. I think companies know that if they do not innovate, if they do not get on this wave, their competitors will, and they definitely will be left behind. It's kind of interesting. I heard a lot of people talking and saying, like, you may not, integrating AI tools into whatever you're doing may not be like something that brings you, catapults you to number one, because a lot of people are working on them. But if you don't, it most certainly will catapult you to the very bottom of the list, right? Like, consumers want generative AI. They want, essentially, really what they want, it's not even that they want generative AI. They just want their jobs to be easier. They want their work to be easier and interacting with your product to be easier. And generative AI does that for so many different areas. And so, this is something that consumers are asking for, and it would appear that now a lot of these corporations are going to give it to them in order to stay relevant and to stay on the top. So very interesting, and we'll keep following this Visa story.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
Thank you for listening to the AI Chat Podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, I'd appreciate it if you rate me wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're looking for an innovative group of AI enthusiasts, make sure you check out our Discord channel and also our Facebook community. It's obviously a lot more interactive than a podcast, where we can actually share software tools, prompts that we're using in everyday AI. I'll leave a link for those in the description below.